Hello, I'm RAMJB, and today we are going to take a deep dive on the topic of surface vessel weapons. Now, probably you will think that you know enough about it, but let me tell you, probably you don't. And my intention with this video is to let you know everything that affects shipborne weapons in the game. If you like this kind of content, please give me the like, comment down below, and share this video with others who might enjoy this as well. Also, if you haven't done it yet, well, you can subscribe to the channel. Ships in the game usually have weapons for 3 different purposes. Sometimes it's not the case, but for most of the time they will. They will have weapons against submarines, against aircraft, and against ships. And some of those weapons will have more than one application. We'll see more about that in a second. Let's begin with anti-submarine weapons. Anti-submarine weapons come usually in 2 different flavors in most ships. They will have torpedoes and they will have some kind of standoff weapon. In the case of the US or NATO, those come in the shape of Mark 46s or similar small torpedoes and ASROCs, anti-submarine rockets. Against enemy submarines, you can use your short-range torpedoes or your standoff weapons or immediate answer torpedoes. These are actually immediate answer torpedoes. Now, I'm going to begin with the torpedoes. Torpedoes are more or less short range, 8 miles or so. Usually on the US side, they are Mark 46s. On the Soviet side, if we look here at the Giro, for instance, they are Set 65s. You will see that they have a very similar range. Well, these torpedoes, you can fire on position or against an enemy directly. I usually fire them on position. Why? Because these torpedoes take a while before reaching the target. They are not wire guided, and the enemy, when it detects incoming torpedoes, will try to maneuver out of their seeker area. So for instance, in this case, I know there's a submarine here moving at very slow speed. Actually it's stopped, but whatever. I'm going to assume, let's say that this is going north at 5 knots. Well then, I'm going to set my Mark 46s and I'm going to say I want one here, one here, one here. Now, in the case the torpedoes are within this small window, and they are fired. These torpedoes will run 2/3 of this path and then activate. When they activate, they will begin doing a snake movement with the warhead active, the seeker active, and if they detect something, they will kill it. But I don't want to spook that submarine, so whatever. Let's go to general and destroy all 3 of them. There we go. Now, the standoff one. The standoff one for the US is the ASROC. ASROCs have a range of only 6 miles, but on top of that range is the own torpedo range of 8 miles. So you can shoot them on position on target. These are immediate answer torpedoes. These are really quick, so it makes more sense to use them on target. Let's fire one. There it goes. Now you see at this is the rocket with the torpedo on top. When it's close to the enemy, it detaches, brings up a parachute, so it can enter the water at slow enough speed not to break on impact. And when it enters the water, goes directly down. It goes almost to 400 feet before it begins moving up. This means that in shallow waters, this torpedo will impact the bottom and will destroy itself. These fast answer weapons are only good in deep enough waters. Now we will go up, and now let's bring the event log. Spoofed. Well, they are deploying noisemakers, and the torpedo had an inner strength against countermeasures of 65, but roll an 80. This means that it's going to go for a decoy, and this gives time. Well, actually, it impacted. Well, this is weird. It's destroyed by a smart fuse trigger. Okay. Well, the thing is, it was spoofed. Maybe the submarine was still in the way. That can happen. The torpedo will impact if something is in the way. But yeah, well, that's how ASROC works. Now, as for the Soviets, they are slightly different. They also have short-range torpedoes, but they also have, some of them, standoff weapons. The SSN-14, the Silex. This is a really, really brutal missile. However, it's not present on all the Soviet warships, only in some of them. Meanwhile, the ASROC is pretty much standard on almost everything the US have. Some ships don't have it, but most of them do. Now, how does this work? Very similar, but much longer range, 27 miles. This is a truly standoff weapon. So, let's try it. And out it goes. Now the Silex beam, the SSN-14 beam, can also track and attack surface targets. We'll look at that later on. Boosters are off, and now the missile will guide itself at a position close to the target, drop the torpedo, and work exactly the same as we saw before. Not much else to say about it. The Soviets do also have another weapon, which is the RBU 6000 or RBU 2500. The number is the range in meters, so this has a range of 3.1 nautical miles only. This can be used against submarines and surface. This is a rocket projector. It drops. It's very similar to the Hedgehog. I don't know how it's said in English, but yeah, you will see it in the subtitles below. Yeah, this deploys a pattern, a circular pattern of the charges, and if it hits, it explodes. And against surface units, it's pretty much the same. So let's try it. I have a friendly ship here, but I can't fire on it. Actually, there's a submarine. And out it goes. And here you have this poor guy who doesn't know what's happening and what's about to fall on him. And there you go. Circular pattern, depth charges, and hits. Very, very bad hits. It has really massacred this guy. Big fire, yeah, this guy should really begin surfacing. Now the RBUs have another use. And for what I've heard, this actually is a thing. I didn't know it until this game, honestly, but let's see. Let's say that you have a torpedo inbound. We'll go. So you have a torpedo that's coming your way. Well, given that almost every Soviet warship has these guys, you can use this like this. Target the torpedo. Then they begin to fall, and it destroys torpedoes. I think this is overdone. I think they destroy torpedoes much easier than what they should. But yeah, this means two things. When you are using Soviets and you see a torpedo coming close, turn around and try to fire them with RBUs. The other important thing is that if you are using a US submarine, try to attack the rear of the Soviet warships, because if you come from the side or from the front, they are going to fire the rockets. But yeah, that's the RBU. Now, anti-aircraft missiles. How do they work? Well, let's show it. We have a target here. I'm going to mark it as hostile, and I'm going to send a couple of missiles here.
Engaging track 7001. Salvo fire.
You will see 3, 2, 1, 0,
Birds away, track
and up they go.
7001.
While they are being fired, you will see link to kit class. This means that these are being guided by the warship. We'll touch on this in a second. But first, let's bring up the event log.
Track
Okay, let's stop.
1 is history.
Here, the event log tells us when we fired. Engages, that's a Fresco, that's a MiG-17. Then it tells one of them intercepted the target. It class intercept the Fresco. And here are the modifiers. This is really important. We are going to explain more as we go by. MiG-17, Fresco, base of the missile to hit, 0.8. That means 80%. Size bonus of the plane, 0. That means the plane is not big or small enough to cause a penalty. Speed bonus, 0. The plane wasn't moving fast enough to cause a penalty for the missile to hit. Altitude bonus, 0. The plane wasn't going at 6 km altitude, so gets no bonus. Result. The damn guy rolled a 6. So yeah, 6 is under 80%, so it hit. This is what decides if you hit or if you don't. Let's go to the weapons screen of the debug menu. Here you have the information about all the weapons of the ship you have selected. In the case of this ship, we have 2 Mark 26s. Mark 26 is the twin arm launcher, and it's telling us that it has, for each one of them, it has 2 sensors available for guidance. So if it's firing with the forward and the aft, one is going to go guide the forward launcher, one is going to guide the aft launcher. Each one of those sensors have 1 channel for targets and 2 for weapons. What does this mean? Let's illustrate this. Let's fire 2 more missiles. Here.
Engaging track 7. Birds away, track.
There you go. This means that we can fire 2 weapons at 1 target maximum. Okay? And given that we only have 2 illuminators, we can only be tracking 2 targets at the same time with 4 missiles in the air. Let's look at the event. How this goes. Wow, 1 missed. Look at that. It rolled an 85, so it missed. The other hit the target. And this one. This is what tells how capable your ship is at tracking enemy aircraft targets. And I know what you are wondering. What about this bad boy? This is the Ticonderoga Aegis system. You see that it has 2 mounts, 2 Mark 26s, that it has 3 channels, and that it has 1 off. The off one is the radar, the SPY radar. We switch it on, and suddenly we have this available. This miserable bastard. Each one of the launchers can fire 24 missiles at 12 targets simultaneously, which means that this guy can track 24 enemies with 48 missiles at the same time, with radar on. With radar off, the things change, of course. That's brutal. That's brutal. Keep in mind, this ship has 68 missiles, can fire and guide more than half its missile magazines at the same time at any given time. This is the perfect weapon against saturation attacks. But of course the problem is it runs out of weapons really fast. And now let me illustrate another thing about anti-aircraft missiles calculations. Let's fire 2 missiles at this tupolev here. This tupolev is moving at very slow speed, so it's not going to get any penalties because of that. Okay, let's stop. Go to event log and take a look at this because this is important. Some platforms, planes, ships, and also some missiles have defensive ECM. The tupolev is one of those cases. If you come to the tupolev and you click here, unit reference, defensive jammer has a defensive jammer. Well, the defensive jammer tried to spoof both missiles. It didn't work. Defensive ECM jammer rolled a 56 against 70. Now each missile has an inbuilt ECCM, electronic countermeasures, which means its resistance against jamming. In the case of the SM2MR, it's at 70%. So in order to spoof it, the tupolev should have rolled over 70, has failed. Both missiles are guiding properly. Next roll, chaff. The torpedo has used chaff, and it has spoofed both of them. Wow, that was incredibly lucky rolls. 112, including 15 bonus, I guess, because of the DCM, the SM. I think the defensive ACM increases the bonus, increases the chance of your chaff. Well, it spoofed them. Really lucky, really lucky. There you go. That's how it works. Let's fire two more. Actually, let's do it with the Kirov. So the Kirov has a total of 2 channels. Each one of them can track 3 enemies, with 2 missiles per enemy. So that means that this bad boy can track 6 enemies and launch 12 missiles at the same time. Really, really, really scary. Let's fire.
Понял.
The problem is the fire rate is not the best. Okay, so we are using 1 target and 2 missiles on that target. It can fire up to 6 to a single target, which is again really scary. Let's go to test mode, no, event mode, low, sorry. And okay, we have 1 success. Chaff, again, super high roll, but the second one didn't work. The second one didn't spoof the target, and it was able to hit. SAN6 has an 80% chance to hit. 6 bonus minus 0.5 because it's a big target, it's a 2-polar. Speed bonus 0, altitude bonus 0, result 22. And down it goes. Okay, but that was against enemy planes. What about missiles? Let's take a look. It is here. I'm going to tell him to shoot a couple of harpoons at
Bulldog away. Track.
the crewback. Now, these missiles don't have ECM. They have a decent score against enemy ECM. But the main thing is that they are very small and they come at wave top level. They are sea skimmers. Let's see how this computes in the final rolls for the crewback. The crewback has SAN4s, which are not really good anti-aircraft missiles. I think they have a 55% chance to hit. But it also has ECM. It's a jammer. So let's see how it does. Okay. One of them was jammed. This one, 1038, was jammed by crewback with a 68 roll against a 65 missile noise rejection. And it has applied a 60-meter deviation. So that means that this missile will have the second one is ignored. Look at that. 51 against 65. So this one, if it's not destroyed, when it tries to attack the ship, it's going to have a randomized 65-meter penalty added. That means that it might hit or it might miss. Now let's look at the interception chances. It's missing all the time because it has a base of 55%. The side bonus for the missile is 1 or 10% because it's very small. Speed bonus 0 because it's not going very fast. Altitude bonus 0.3 because it's going at 6 km level. Result is a 15% chance to hit, which is ridiculously low. Of course, it can get lucky, but chances are it's not going to. Well, what the hell? Look at that. That's amazing. It rolled a 10 and a 0 and a 4. 15% chance of hitting, and they are going to hit with both. And it hits, both of them hit the 1038. This is the one that that was spoofed, so we are not going to see the result. This is the chaff. Okay, chaff has a 20% chance to succeed. Turns out that the spoofed missile that was already spoofed was also distracted by chaff because it rolled a 94. The other missile rejects the chaff. So 38 is going to be destroyed and also was very spoofed. Yeah. But we still have another missile. Let's see. Oh wow, also destroyed. What the hell? Rolled 3 under 15 in almost consecutive. 0, 4, and 15. Wow. Wow, this creepback is really lucky. But yeah, you can see how it may seem at a moment that the anti-aircraft of the game is absolutely brutal and that is overpowered. Man, you just got to get unlucky because this was 15% chance, 3 consecutive hits under 15. I don't know the chances of that, and I'm not going to grab a calculator. Someone tell us in the comment how possible was that, how probable was that. Out of a 15% chance, 3 consecutive hits. It's infinitesimal and it just happened on tape. Amazing. Okay, but this is how anti-ship missiles work. So yeah, that's how anti-aircraft missiles work. You have seen all the calculations, how they affect, the effect of jamming, the effect of chaff on different planes and different missiles. And by the way, you have seen some of the anti-ship missiles as well. So the anti-ship session is going to be a little bit shorter. There's a couple of things I didn't cover. You can fire missiles not only against enemies but also on position. And the missile will fire to that position, activate the radar, and if there's something there, it will locate it and hit it. The big thing about anti-surface weapons, and that you have to keep in mind, is that you need to know how they work. Okay, it's obvious that you need to know the speed and the range of those missiles and if they are sea skimmers or not. The very important thing that usually not considered is this, the guidance type. Because most of the anti-ship missiles are active radar homing, but they don't have to be. Okay? For instance, the Oslo, which I put here for a reason, is because it has penguins. Penguins have an IR tracker, heat-seeking, infrared. This is important. Why? Because of the level of surprise that you can achieve with your missiles. Of course, it's very short range, but there are other missiles that are also IR guided. For instance, the SSN-2 Stix, he has heat-seeking as well. Active radar homing means that it needs active radar to hook on an enemy. Active radar homing means that the enemy will detect those emissions when the missile goes active. So that means that even if the enemy is not using the radar and is in silence, they will know the missile is coming because they will detect the emissions. Infrared seekers don't emit a thing. You can put missiles on top of an enemy that's not emitting, and the enemy will not know until they see them, and when they see them, it's too late. So if you have this kind of weapons, use them wisely. Wait until the enemy is not emitting and then launch a salvo of them, and they almost guarantee will penetrate the anti-aircraft defenses and destroy the enemy. That's one thing. The second thing is that you can control some missiles. Now, I don't know of a single US or NATO ship that has this feature, but there are some Soviet missiles that can do this. And it's that, for instance, the SSN-14B, as we said before, can double as anti-surface weapon. It has a guidance type of heat-seeking, so no IR, but it's radio commanded. What does this mean? Well, first of all, that we need to go to the weapons page and look at this SSN-14 missile status. It has to be guided. To be guided, it needs channels. This weapon can have up to 2 targets and 1 weapon per target. That means it can only have 2 missiles in the air at the same time. There's another ship in the game that has anti-surface missiles that can be fired using radio command, and those are those that have the SSN-3, the Shadok. Now, I lambast this missile as totally useless because for the most part, against an enemy with proper anti-aircraft protection, is not really good. But If you go to the weapons system here, you will see that this has 2 illuminators, well, 2 channels for targets, 4 missiles per channel, because it has 2 launchers of 4 missiles.
Прибыл на позицию.
Now, it also has a very long range. It also has a very big short range under which you can't fire, but not the point. The point is that if you fire these weapons, for instance, I'm going to fire all of them
Так
here.
точно.
The first thing is it's going to take forever because these missiles fire very, very slowly. But the nature of this is that this is a guidance type, active radar homing, but mid-course correction radio command. Okay? This is interesting for several reasons.
Ракета выпущена. Выпущена.
The reasons why this is interesting is that while other missiles you launch on a given target and they go to the target and activate and then strike, this you can guide mid-flight, even after you have fired them.
Ракета выпущена.
What do I mean that they can be radio commanded? You click on the missile and you tell him, go here. And the missile will go there. You tell this missile to go here, they'll go there. This missile, go here. Essentially, you can guide them as you can wire-guide the torpedoes with a Mark 48. Is this useful? Well, with a better missile than this, actually would be much, much better. But yeah, it's useful. Why? Because you can put missiles on different sides of the target before attacking it. I mean, they are still awful missiles. How do you go for the target? Go here. How do you go to the target? Go here. How do you go to the target? Go here. The important thing you have to remember is that once you have clicked on an enemy, you can't guide them anymore. The same, if you fire on an enemy, you can't guide them. Okay? If you fire on position, then you can guide them. It's the same as with the Mark 48 torpedo. Now, the final style of anti-surface missiles are actually your anti-aircraft missiles. Almost every anti-aircraft missile that the game includes has the ability to strike enemy surface ships. Let's see the SM-2ER. See, anti-aircraft, anti-surface, and is semi-active radar homing. That means that the ship has to keep radar contact with the enemy. That also means that these missiles, even for instance the SM-2ER, have a nominal range of 80 nautical miles, but that's against planes and missiles. Against enemy ships, if you want to use them against them, you need to have radar contact with those ships. Now, the problem is radar horizon. Of course, as you probably will know, the Earth isn't flat. I'm getting in trouble here, I hope not. Well, as the Earth isn't flat and the horizon hides things beyond it, well, it turns out that there might be targets beyond the horizon that you can detect with your radar, and so you can't hit you with your semi-active homing missiles. When you hover, with your weapon selected, when you hover against an enemy, you will see how the circles change. See, our nominal range is this one. We can see the surface, just the surface at this range. And we can see this guy at that blue circle. See? That's how far our missile will reach to hit that. Why that range? Well, because this guy has masts, has superstructure that protrude over the water, and means that we can see part of it pop over the horizon. And you can fire on those guys. For instance, let's fire a couple of these guys here.
Engage track. Bulldog, vampire,
Up they go.
vampire, bearing.
Now, these missiles usually don't have a huge explosive charge, but they have a huge advantage, and is that they are really fast. So they tend to go through the defenses of whatever is at the other end. Let's bring the event log up. And look, one of them was spoofed. It has a radar resistance of 70. And again, it has a bonus, a penalty actually, I don't know why. But the calculation says that one of them was spoofed. One of them missed, the other one hit. And it must, I don't know what did it hit, but it did a shitload of damage. 000, maybe a magazine, something. It hit when the middle ship gun was, maybe it hit the magazine, I don't know. But yep, you can use those as well. So remember that in order to use those, you have to be really close to the target. So yeah, last resort, you can use them. Well, there's another very big advantage, and this, as they are semi-active radar homing, that means that the target you choose is the target the missile is going to hit. With harpoons, sometimes it's not like that. Maybe imagine there's a big transport behind this guy, and I fire a harpoon from very far away. Harpoon activates here, see two ships, and I want to attack the smallest. But the harpoon is going to lock on the biggest. The strongest return will attract the missile. With this, you can choose which target you attack. Of course, again, you need to be really close in order for that to really happen. But of course, we can't finish a video tutorial about warship weapons if we don't include the guns, right? Particularly so the big guns of the Iowa. Only one of ship in the game has guns this size. But for the others, the rules are also very similar. And summing up, I don't know how they work, honestly. Let's take a look. Switch on the radars and
Engage track.
fire the guns.
0, 0, 1. Salvo
As I
fire.
said, I don't have a clue on how this works. Let's bring the event log up. And there it goes. And now we go at the other side, and you will see that the event log says almost nothing about guns. So I don't really know how they work. I don't know the percentages, I don't know how they are calculated. There must be some kind of calculation under the hood that has nothing to do with how missiles work, because I don't think it's percentage based. I really don't know. But the thing is, to use guns, you just point and click. There's no much more than that. In fact, if you go to, well,
Hit track. 1,
well
0, 0, 1.
I just lost the chance to take a look at this impact. But yes, we did hit, and see, hit by friendly cell, whatever, could be an enemy. It doesn't say percentages, anything. Let's take a look at the damage. It did a number. The whole aft section is pretty much ruined. Rudder system is destroyed, propulsion system is medium, yeah. And it's flooding fast from the aft. And man, this is disgusting to watch. Yeah, this is already a goner. 2 cells and it's gone. That's how they work. Now, again, I'm sorry that I can't tell a lot more about it. They just are amazing to use when you are in range, but I don't know. I don't know the percentages or how they work. So yeah, that's going to be my tutorial for surface unit weapons. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned a lot and you understand the mechanics of the game a little bit better. Because I think a lot of misconceptions about the game stem from the fact that there's a big part of random number generation here. And there are times that something highly unlikely will happen and you will say, damn it, this can't be, this is OP, whatever. Remember what happens with the harpoons and the creebacks. 3 consecutive 15% chances that the computer rolled on me. That's the thing that might happen, may not. I hope you learned as well a little bit more about how the defensive ECM works in the game in what regards to both anti-aircraft missiles and anti-surface missiles. So, well, let me know if you learned something new, if you found this video useful. Do so in the comment section below, please. I answer every comment. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? If you want to support me through other means, you can do it through Patreon or by becoming a member of the channel here in YouTube. Links down in the description. Thank you very much for watching and see you later.